first of all, we have to congratulate you on your recent Critics' Choice nomination. Both you and Sam got one, which is pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think either of us were expecting that, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only have you been nominated by the Hollywood Foreign Press, you and the show and Tobias and Sam missed out that year, but now all the critics have kind of started to join the party, so to speak. And I'm just wondering if you can take us back to that morning when you found out you were nominated. It was a surprise. Tell us about that.
I'm trying to even remember where we were. I think we were shooting. Yeah, we were shooting, and I think we just I got emails from the team across the pond in LA, and I mean, I was pretty bowled over. The rest of the women in that category are kind of amazing, and a lot of them I've looked up to for many, many years. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, there's days like that I don't even know what to say about it. I'm like,
yeah,
whoa,
you got
very
it.
cool.
At least you got it. That's cool. So you're currently shooting season 3 in Scotland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was wondering if it would be possible for you to just tell us everything. That would be really good. We don't have to ask you any more questions.
Sure.
If you tell everything,
I actually have a big stack of scripts here. I was just going to start reading them. Is that okay?
This will be the most viewed podcast
ever in the history of the universe ever. Yeah.
Scene 1, Act 1. Yeah. I will get fired.
Yeah, you may not. I don't think they can do the show without you. So look, that's my view. That's my argument. But I guess it's not really working.
I'm sure they find my way.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Amanda, have you got any questions? Go for it.
Yeah. Can you give us a little tease, maybe, about Jamie and Claire's reunion, if there is one in season 3?
Yeah, there isn't one. I mean, we decided that we'd really draw it out. We'd just do a whole season of each of them in different places. We thought we might do it for 2 seasons, so they'll reunite maybe in season 6, maybe 5. No. Yeah, I guess the first couple of episodes, they are apart. So I have no idea what Sam was doing. But, with Claire, you'll see her in Boston, some with Frank, quite a bit with Brianna, which I think is really nice that you get to see that relationship really kind of solidify. And it was great to work with Sophie on that stuff. But then, there will be a reunion, but I can't really say much about it. But I think the fans will be happy.
Speaking of the time jump, since that's going to be like a big part of it, how are you guys handling that for next season?
It's been interesting because obviously, we're doing some 40s, some 50s, some 60s. And it's been quite a challenge to try and tell this, great journey, not only of Claire and her life, but, the relationship between Claire and Frank and, what has become of that. And when you're kind of dipping in and out of someone's life and just showing vignettes, it's a challenge because you want to be able to give it real life. You want to be able to show that this is a relationship that has arcs and turns, and it's not all one this or it's not all one that. And that's been, it's been the challenge, but it's also been really fun and exciting for me and for, I guess, Tobias and I when we've been doing those scenes. But there's some really good stuff, I think people will be happy.
And then you guys are moving away from the Highlands at some point, I suppose, given anyone who's read the books knows that you're moving to a more tropical destination, right? What can you tell us about that so far? Anything at all?
Well, Jamaica in the books is going to be South Africa in Outlander world. So yeah, we'll be filming in South Africa next year. I don't know too much. I mean, obviously I've read the book, but in terms of what the scripts are like, we haven't seen those yet. So we're as much in the dark as anybody else. But I think, the great thing about the show is it feels every season there's so much that's new. And in some ways it feels like a completely different show from one element to the next, that it just keeps things really fresh for us, and we're constantly on our toes, and we're constantly excited about what's coming around the corner. And I think that's a great place to be as an actor or anyone at work, to be just constantly rejuvenated, I guess, by the newness of it all.
So Outlander is probably one of the most romantic shows on television right now. What are some of like the lighter aspects of shooting those scenes that you have?
Lighter as in, I think it's to play a great love story is, it's amazing in many ways. I mean, obviously the show has some dark moments and quite tragic moments, but to be in a place where you get to emote these beautiful big feelings and live in that happy space, it's not bad. It's a pretty nice place to be. But I think for us it's always trying to, as much as it is a sort of a fantasy and there is an element of that relationship that's really aspirational, I think what we're always trying to do is make it feel as real and as human as possible. You don't want to put them so much on a pedestal that it doesn't affect you, or you don't buy into it and you don't believe it. So, it's always that's the kind of challenge with it, I guess.
And, like, for example, the season 2 finale was really quite romantic. It ended on a really positive and kind of happy note, so to speak, at the Stones, for example. And I always wonder, because sometimes it's not very cool to be romantic and whimsical so boldly like Outlander is. Do you feel that you guys wear that with pride? Is that something that you really look forward to doing?
I don't know if it's so integral to our show that this is what it is. I mean, I think that the difficulty is to ground it, right? Because, even though you want those big moments to really sell, but you have to honestly believe it and feel it yourself. And, I think there's a place in the TV landscape for something like this. And I'm proud of that we're putting it out there and that people seem to have connected to it. And, I love that part of our show. And I think it's important that we embrace it, but, it is important to, I don't know, to kind of ground the fantasy element of it, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Amanda, go for it.
Well, because of how romantic the show is, you have some of the most devoted fans on television. What I have to ask, what's been your weirdest fan interaction so far?
Oh, I had one recently, and I went to Iceland for a long weekend, which was amazing. But I was at the Blue Lagoon, and I'm in the changing rooms afterwards, and I'm getting dressed, but very early on in the start of that, and these 2 lovely women from New York were staring at me, and I was like, am I in their way? What am I doing? Do they need to go to the locker? And they were like, you're the girl, you're from Outlander. And so I was like, not quite dressed and having this fan interaction, and I was almost going to be like, is the reason you recognize me because I don't have my clothes on? I don't know. But, it was very sweet, but it was slightly strange. But yeah. They were lovely. They were very nice.
See, I could just imagine how bizarre that would be, just to be, spoken to whilst changing, let alone someone recognizing me from TV. I'm sure you're used to that. You get that every day now. You're a big star now, but
no, it's very quiet over here. People in Scotland, they don't care. So
yeah, they're
it's
like,
quite
whatever.
nice.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So, looking back on season 1 and 2, especially season 2, we haven't had a chance to really talk about it. Last time you and I chatted, it was just before or just after Faith had aired, and that was like such a big moment for you as an actress and also for your character. But I'm wondering, what have you got any favorite scenes from season 2, perhaps maybe with Sam or alone or with someone else? Like, apart from Faith, because we've talked about that a lot, is there anything else that you think about with season 2 that you just thought, yeah, that was amazing, I'm really proud of it?
Well, I think the finale was another script that was just so strong and so lovely. And as an actor, to be able to do both of those, Claire with Jamie sort of right before Culloden, and then jumping forward doing the 1960s with her, with their daughter. I mean, it was just, we were shooting them at the same time and sometimes flipping between the two. And just as an actor, it was just a really great challenge, and it's nice to be able to do something so different and to try and find those differences. For us, it's funny to think back on that, because it's, season 2 is just gone in our heads.
Yeah.
We're so deep in season 3 right now, but things that come to mind are generally just days where it was amazing experiences as a person to be, some of that lead up to the battle, like leading up to Preston Pans and stuff, just because of the epic scale of our show. And there was a day in particular where Sam and I were like leading this army of Highlanders behind us, and you're looking at it at the vista and just at all of the extras who are so invested, because it's also telling a really important part of their history, of their country. And days like that are very personally special. But I think acting wise, the goodbye scene at the Stones was really special. I think just because it felt it just felt like such an emotional scene, and it was such a heartbreaking moment for these two characters. And everything sort of came together on that morning, just in terms of the light and the weather, and it was just days where it just feels special. And yeah, I guess that's one that really sort of stands out.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Amanda.
Now you have you work with Tobias Menzies, but he plays 2 different characters. So I was just wondering, do you prefer him as Blackjack or as Frank?
Hell no. Claire and Blackjack have had some great scenes. In season 1 especially, like we had some great almost theater pieces that went on for like 6-7 pages. And Tobias is such an amazing actor. It's always fun to spar with him. But I have a soft spot for Frank. I don't know. I mean, poor Frank gets such a bum deal, but he's trying. He's a good guy. He tried to do his best. But no, we have some like really great scenes this season that I don't know. I was really looking forward to that stuff, and the writing's been fantastic. So I'm excited for people to see that eventually, whenever that comes out.
We still don't know when it's going to start next year, and this Outlander is getting ridiculous. Like, people are losing their minds. Like, it's pretty bad. I want to get serious for a second, if I may, and that is just talking about how the show balances this beautiful way in which it tells a story from a woman's perspective, but on the other hand, it sometimes is criticized for its rather blunt portrayal of sexual violence and misogyny, and really that's because of the time period that it's portraying. But I'd just like to hear from you how you feel about that side of the show and actually having to portray those scenes and how difficult they might be.
Well, it's always difficult. When you take material like Diana's, which is so full of life and action, but then also has these really dark moments and these really sexually violent pieces, how do you stay true to the books, and yet, how do you handle these things sensitively? And I think that's a conversation that happens a lot on our show, whether it's with the producers, the writers, and when we get down to sets. And, you know, sometimes these conversations will be ongoing, and you'll have different opinions, but it's tough as an actor because, you know, a lot of the time you have your own personal view on these things. And I was speaking as a woman from this time period. Our expectations and our the things that we will tolerate are obviously incredibly different from what was tolerated or, you know, accepted back in the 1700s. You know, it's a hard one because you never want to be in that place where you're sensationalizing something or you're just using sex, or not sex, but rape or things like that as plot points. So it's hard. It's hard. It's a tough thing, but we try. I mean, we try really hard that we only have those things when they are integral to the plot and that they have a character reason for being there. And as actors, when we're filming it, there's always a very strong conversation that happens with the directors and with the writers about, well, if we do it this way, then that will send this message or it will look like that. So how do we not do that, or how do we avoid doing that? So, you know, it's a constant negotiation. But yeah, I don't know that there's a perfect way of doing any of that. I mean, unfortunately, sexual violence is a weapon that was used and is still used today. So you can't ignore these things either. So yeah, you just try and do it the most sensitively that you can.
Yeah. Amanda, final question from you before I wrap it up.
Well, just on a lighter, just trying to get one more little tidbit, because we love Duncan LaCroix as Murtagh. So we hashtag that all the time. Yes, everybody loves Murtagh. That's our famous hashtag. So we just have to ask, are we going to get a Claire Murtagh reunion?
Is he ever coming back?
Are we going to see Murtagh?
No comment.
She's fallen over. I don't know.
Okay, that's good.
But I will say Duncan is one of the most amazing guys, and Murtagh, I love Murtagh. I think Murtagh is amazing.
What's not to love, really?
What is not to love? Him and I have a very funny Claire Murtagh kind of skit that we do off on set. So I just bore him with questions as Claire.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good. Anyway.
And so the final question for you is it's kind of a tricky one because it's really hard to kind of pinpoint why you and Sam work so well on screen together. Like casting is a really unusual science, and some shows do it really well, some shows do it badly. Outlander is one of those shows that does it so well. A lot of that is this chemistry and interaction between you guys as the leads of the show. What is it about working with Sam that you think personally that makes this show so much better?
I guess we have so much fun. I don't know, like we get along incredibly well. We're both quite childish. We have a ridiculous sense of humor. But I think that's it. I don't know. I mean, I have so much respect for him. He's one of my closest friends now. You know, we've gone through this crazy experience together, and I think we're very similar people in many ways. So yeah, for some reason it just works, and you know, we have each other's backs, and I think that's important. I think that from day one we were kind of like, right, if we're going to do this and we're going to go through this, we got to look out for each other, and I think we do. So yeah, and I'm glad that, you know, that friendship translates on screen. So
yeah, it absolutely does. Caitriona, thanks so much for your time. We know you guys work so hard on this show. The fans love you. You're getting award recognition. Like, it really couldn't be much better. And we wish you all the best and good luck for the Golden Globe nominations in the next few weeks.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for the support. Thanks. Nice chatting to you. Bye.